What is up everyone, welcome back to Mainly Movies, the channel where we talk about, well, mainly movies. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about the new A24 produced film, Minari. So Minari is about a Korean family who have moved to America in the 1980s who are pursuing their career in growing Korean vegetables.
집이지?
우리 새로 시작한다고 그랬잖아. 이게 그거야.
아빠는 빅 가든 하나 만들 거야.
What a wonderful day to be in the house of the Lord. If you're here with us for the first time, please stand. What a beautiful family. Glad you're here.
Now that's all I really want to say about the film because it is very minimalistic, and that's the one word I would use to describe this film, is it's minimalistic. And as you watch my review you'll realize that that's not a bad thing at all. Obviously I don't want to give away too much about the film because this is one of the best films I have seen in a while, and I know recently I've been saying that with Another Round, and I also watched a couple of other films like The Trial of the Chicago 7. Those movies have really blown me away. Recently I've just been watching a lot of good movies that have been coming out from last year and this year. Another thing I didn't mention in my Another Round review is the fact that this is the most confusing time of the year for movies, because movies that got released last year for America or other countries are now just getting released here in Australia. Like Another Round had premiered last year in America and other countries, but is only just coming out this year, as well as Minari. Minari did very well last year in other countries, but is only getting released now at this point in time. Same with the movie The Possessor by David Cronenberg's son Brendan Cronenberg, which I'll do a review on that very shortly, as the Blu-ray is only just releasing in Australia. It did show last year in some theatres, but I never got around to seeing it, so I want to do a review on that film as well because I missed out on watching that. But anyway, Minari was beautiful. It was a great film. Now this is a movie that, if it was done by any other director, or if it was more Hollywoodized, there would have been so many more problems and more drama. And I'm not saying this movie doesn't have any drama. This movie has a lot of drama, but it's very minimalistic and very realistic, very grounded drama that would happen in day-to-day lives with these people. It follows the family and their grandma who's come from Korea to visit them, and the kids don't really connect with the grandma because she still has this Korean way of thinking, and her behavior is very Korean, whereas they're somewhat now used to the American way of doing things, and so they haven't been brought up by her, and they haven't really seen her that much. So, and it was just the kids' relationship with the grandma was a beautiful thing, and this movie was a tribute to grandmas and to grandparents, so I thought that was great. And yes, I do just want to say that I'm wearing my A24 t-shirt right now. But no, I've really enjoyed the previous films that A24 has put out, and I enjoy a lot of their films, but there are some that I'm not so big on, but overall I would say that I'm a fan of A24 movies, and this one has got to be up there for one of the best. It's up there with The Florida Project, or maybe The Lighthouse, or Uncut Gems as well. Those movies are like the top of the list for me. And this movie is definitely up there. This is really good. I didn't really have a problem with this movie. As I was watching it, I was still trying to figure out in my mind what exactly could happen. And you're thinking that during the movie. And then when the big problem does happen in the film, which I'm not going to spoil obviously, but when the big problem happens in this film, you realize that it takes a step back and just kind of puts you in reality and puts you in perspective of what a family would be going through. And I really did enjoy it. The performances are really great. Steven Yeun was really good, but as well as just the kids were really good. And there was a small portion of the film, mainly in the second act, which took me by surprise, which was a comedy, and it was fantastic. The humor hit really well. I mean, the comedy now has kind of surprised me. I did not realize Another Round was going to be as funny as it was, and I didn't realize this movie was going to be as funny as it was. And yes, both of those movies do have this gripping drama to it that hooks you and makes you connect with the characters. There's a moment in this movie that almost made me tear up because of how beautiful it was. And it wasn't as in tear up because it was a death or something like that. It wasn't like sad crying, it was crying of happiness, joy, and that's what this movie is. It's just very, very joyful and very optimistic, and that's why I do feel like on the cover of the movie, one of the quotes says it's the movie that we need at the moment, and it definitely is. It's a beautiful film. I highly, highly recommend it. I do want to kind of talk a little bit more about the film. Technical wise, the cinematography is really, really great. I think that it's a very beautifully shot film. The compositions are really good. It has these still compositions sometimes where it's just, you know, very still. But then there's times where it goes handheld and it has that natural feeling, almost like a Terrence Malick film feeling of nature. This movie, because Steven Yeun's character is trying to grow these plants, and that's why they move to this farm, which is like what the movie is kind of about, them moving to this farm. When he's growing the plants, there's a lot of shots of nature, and nature's a very big thing, as well as water. Water is something in this film that is a heavy theme that they carry on throughout the film. And also this movie was, another thing that I thought it was going to get into was race. I thought this movie was going to get a lot more into race, about a Korean family moving to America in the 1980s, thinking that there might be this race, but nobody was racist. There was probably one or two moments where that is the case in the scene, but other than that, this movie was just really about this family and their struggles to sell this produce or grow the produce, as well as how the father wants something different from the mother and their kind of relationship in that way. So I thought that was a really interesting aspect of the film. So Minari, I highly recommend watching this film. It is a beautiful film. It's a movie that you're going to get a lot of joy out of. It's a great movie about family, and I highly recommend it. And I'm going to give Minari a 10 out of 10. Yes, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think the composition, the way it reminds me of a Yasujiro Ozu film as well. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, but an Ozu film. It was really minimalistic but beautiful at the same time, and I really appreciate that, and it definitely is a movie that we need to be watching at this moment in time. It is a great film. I'm definitely going to be rewatching it, probably buying it on Blu-ray when it comes out and watching it for years to come, because this is a beautiful film, and I applaud the filmmakers for making this movie and for A24 for producing it or publishing it or whatever, but I want to thank them as well for the movie, and this is just a great film in general. So guys, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. So stay tuned, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.